What, are you feeling the heat of the interview?
No, my mouth is.
I'm
I'm getting
just
cotton
kidding.
mouth. I'm
That's
getting
'cause
nervous,
this-
man.
That's so good. Are you
Your good
filming now?
looks.
Because this is good shit.
I
if
am
you're
filming
Oh,
right
that's
now.
perfect. Awesome. You need to
I'm
make
not
this.
filming right now.
This needs to happen right here. All right, Nick. So how did you get started in this business?
You really want the answer?
Yeah, I want to know, man. 'Cause
Yeah?
You ask everybody else.
Okay.
Shit. I want to know.
Shit,
I want to know your story.
Shoot, we're gonna.
This is what we talked about 2 years ago, man. Who's interviewing you?
Okay.
Me.
Let's do it. What do you
Let's
want?
go.
What do you want
I
to
want
know?
to know how this all started. Like not this part of it, but your actual audio portion of your life.
Okay. So I'm a pastor's kid and a missionary kid.
Awesome.
Went to high school and I was doing jazz. I was doing jazz band, concert band, wind symphony, orchestra, all the stuff. And I was also a DJ as well for the school
That's
dances.
awesome.
And there was a DJ that did them. And like the senior, when you left, you got to hand it down to somebody else.
Yeah.
It got handed down to me. So I did all the
Nice.
speakers and setup for that. And then
Cool.
once I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
I'm with you there.
And a family friend we met with, he actually mentioned there's a missionary thing. I ended up doing that, and I went through 6 months. I went to China,
I
Thailand,
was going to
Cambodia,
say you
Hong
got to
Kong,
travel
South
and
Korea,
experience that part of
all over.
that part.
Came
yeah.
back from that, and I wanted to tour. I wanted to do music and do bands. So I did local labor. I went with Rhino Staging.
Perfect. That
Pushing
way you're-
boxes.
Yeah, that way you're around.
Figuring
this.
out what is, front of house,
what
where
all-
is
what it
monitor
all
stage
does.
right, stage left, over,
Yeah.
under, all the stuff, and networked at I realized like, hey, I'm just hanging out with front of house people, getting to know them.
Yeah, just talk to
understanding like what makes them click and there's commonalities between all of
people.
that.
I'm sure, yeah.
If you hang out with enough people and talk with enough people, you get the opportunity for it. I
Yep,
ended
I
up going
agree.
on tour. My first tour was a band called Mindflow, and we were with UFO.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that was
That's
great.
back a bit. Yeah.
Ended up doing more and more and more, and my last sorry,
See, he gets nervous too.
I do.
When you do these things.
My last tour I got fired off of.
Sweet.
It was Stain, Godsmack, and Hailstorm.
Why did you get fired off that?
I was
This is-
drinking and I forgot. I was monitor engineer and drum tech, and I forgot to do an RF sweep before the show.
Awesome. See, this
Obviously,
is really cool that you mentioned that. You know, it really is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it lets people know. First of all, it's very honest, but it also lets people know how serious this business is. You can have fun, but you got to work for it. End of the night, have your fun.
Yeah.
But man, keep it
was
cool.
a simple
Yeah,
push of a button for it, but
yeah.
they went to sing cutouts, went to this downstage snake, did a home run, gave her a cable for it.
Yeah.
She moved to the other mic, didn't work. By the time I went back to the console, there was like 4 other people tweaking and trying to fix it as well, and it was
then it
gone
was
from
bad.
that point. So that was the start of my sobriety.
Perfect. That's a good moment, man.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
went
really.
back home
Yeah.
and I joined the Navy.
That is awesome.
I was in the Navy for 9 years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it taught you work ethic, responsibility.
I
all those
thought I was
cool
a good
things.
leader.
Yeah.
I realized I wasn't a good leader because it's not hard to get people on tour. What do they do if they don't produce? You get somebody else.
Yeah.
Now you're in the military. What do you do when you can't fire people? You got to develop people. You got to work with people. And I thought everybody was a leader. I was wrong. Everybody's
It's
not a
funny you
leader.
say that because that's what these people out here are about, is lifting up rather than, it takes a lot to get fired from this gig.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they will help. Like you make a mistake, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's just about not making it twice.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate that you got. It's actually fortunate that it happened because it changed your life, right?
Yeah, but that was also a very dark moment for me. Like that hung over my head for so long. And I remember that I got invited to come. My buddy Brian Hardiswick was on that tour. He was a Bion with Pop Evil. He invited me to come to one of his shows in this moment, and Hailstorm was going to be there. I was so nervous to come to the show.
How were they? Did you talk to them?
Yeah, RJ gave me a hug.
Yeah,
everybody was
cool.
great, and I
See?
realized that nobody cares about you as much as you do. They really don't. And to bring it full circle, I ended up being able to do an interview with Mike, the guy who fired me, and we sat there. We're both sober now, and it was a full circle
how
moment
great
of
is that?
you can come around.
Yeah,
man.
that's wonderful. That's a good story, man.
So that was in the audio stuff. Yeah.
See, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you learn from everything, but it seems like you know how to self-regulate and you really look at things that have happened to you and improve yourself, you know?
Yeah, the older
That's
you
super
get.
important. That's kind of like this job too. I learn something new every day. I try to be better every day. It doesn't always work, but you try. You know, you get caught in the middle of runs like this that are super long and everybody has a downturn. Psychologically, you know, you just get beat up, you know what I mean? And then you come out the other side and you see the end of the leg and you get through it. It's like this roller coaster of a life doing this.
Did you ever have like a massive failure that was like life defining for you?
I did, and it's the funniest shit ever.
Yeah.
So this is in the 80s. It was the first MTV spring break, and I worked for a company called Wolf Sound. And we were in Daytona Beach, and I was sitting there talking to like young Adam Sandler and all these people, and we put wedges all the way around the pool and all this shit. They had a Westwood One uplink truck with an old Neve in it, and we were going to lunch. So I walked a belt pack in, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna do the lines when we get back from lunch, right?" I said, "Here's the belt pack, phone, all this stuff. We're gonna do this when we get back." Dude, we went to lunch and we came back and the door flew up open of the Westwood One truck and there was smoke rolling out. And they had decided they were gonna go ahead and do all the lines and they plugged comm right into the console and took out a channel and the master bus, and then they blamed the local kid and fired me on the spot. And I was like, what? Then I had to take a freaking bus from Daytona back to Miami. And man, it was like one of those like 4.5 hours, pouring rain, stopping at a prison, picking up guys. There was this guy coughing so hard he would fart, and then he started throwing up. Like, it was like the lowest point. And when I got to Miami, the owner, Wolfie, came by and got me, and we hung out. He's like, "It's cool, dude. It's like no big deal." He was totally sweet about it, but it was so, they smoked me, man, you know? Well, I mean, they had to blame somebody,
Sure.
right? So I got tossed. Yeah, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It was like a movie though. It's like the door blew open as we're driving up in our equipment truck.
Just
smoke billowing out everywhere. So that was a good moment right there. You know?
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Two-part question. How long have you been doing this?
Since 1978, I was hanging out in high school with some friends of mine that I met in a band, and then we started going on the road like 79. And they taught me how to set up drums and tune guitars and be like backline kid. And then they needed a lighting guy, so I gravitated to that. And I was an LD for quite a few years, five, 6 till 84. And then the guy that was running sound was super good. This guy Lynn Murphy, and he got a job with Stevie Nicks or something. And I'd been pumping him the whole time, like asking, and he just handed it over to me. And the house gig that we had there, as long as tour, was a band called Money out of Columbus, Ohio. And the house gig was the Alrosa in Columbus, where Dime got shot, that gig. And I got to do shows like, I remember Queensryche on their EP, opening up for Twisted Sister. I did gigs like that. Like right out of the gate, I was doing that. And then, you know, just mixing. And then it was so cold up there at the time, back then. The winters were Arctic, and so I just went back to Tampa and started mixing my buddy's bar band. And then it started go from there. Then Sabotage, which is now the TSO thing. Those guys got a record deal, and I went up to them. I went, "I'm your sound guy." And that's how I got into...
Did you really?
Yeah, I just went in there. I said, "And I've studied all your music," and I talked to John, the singer, effects, blah, 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 blah. He goes, "Hey, no one talks like this. You're the sound guy." And I became their sound guy. And then I started touring, and then it went from there to the tour was over. I didn't know what to do. I sat down next to a guy in Long Beach Arena, and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "Trying to figure out what I'm doing next." And he goes, "Hold on a second," made a call, and he sat down. "I'm Barry Dane with DB Sound." He goes, "We need a guy for the Smithereens. You want to go do that?" And I was like, yeah, it just dropped right in my lap. And I went and did that, which I met my mentor in this business, Walter Verson. He was a big commanding tour manager guy, and he taught me the ropes and the order of command and all that, you know. He kind of raised me like a pup. So that's how I started. And you just start rolling with gigs from there, you know. Because I didn't get fucked up, I smoked weed back then a little bit, but I never really drank. So once you're responsible and you can do a good job, then people start gravitating to you. You know, "Hey, we'll get that guy."
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of rolled.
Okay, so from your tenure in the industry,
Yeah.
if you think back to all of it, if
Uh-huh.
you could take the top moment for you and you could erase one moment from your mind and redo it again, meaning like the newest, exciting, the most pinnacle moment, and you want to get all those exciting new feelings again, what would be that one moment you'd love to just experience again for the very first time ever?
Jesus, dude. This is like, that's a hard one, man. I'd say no one ever really gets me, you got me there. Because I've had so many good moments. You mean that first, like, thing?
That one that was like
okay,
the, like,
I'll tell you what it was. Okay, so.
because sometimes you don't realize it when you're in it.
No. The first arena tour I did was Sabotage, and we were opening up for Dio, right? The first memory is the sound guys punked me my very first show. And it was an old Midas with little switches and so what's the matter, you okay? Yeah, we're good still.
Yep, I just good.
So it was old, it was a Pro 4, so it had switches for delay. So they turned up all the effects on the kick drum and the show started. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And they were laughing and I saw it and I turned it off. Right?
Yeah.
So that was a good moment because I was super nervous, my first arena gig, you know, and they punked the crap out of me. So like a month into the tour, I would help them out and, you know, I got involved with everything. And they were troubleshooting something. They had pink noise in the PA. So I sent it to an SPX and so it was like flanging and just kind of sat down and hid. And they're like, what the hell is that? I heard them like freaking out and walking around. And I got up and went like this and they're like, God damn it. So I got them back. It just took me a minute to get settled in, you know? So that was fun. That was a guy named Skin, John Cadenza. He mixed Dio back in the day. He was really good to me too. There's been a lot of good guys I've come across over the years.
From the people that have been successful at this, like, what do you feel like separates the good from the greats?
Well, when you want to improve and you can self-regulate, you know. Also, this is another big thing, right? So there are guys that can mix, and there are guys that can get good sounds, and there are guys that can deal with systems, but you have to know all of it. It's like a NASCAR driver. If you can't tell, you know, the pit crew what shim to put on to make a turn, what are you going to do? So I stopped mixing about 5 years in and became a system guy for a couple of years because I wanted to know that side. I got tired of being hung out to dry, right? So I kind of do everything.
This is okay,
and that's the key, right? You can be a good mixer, but sonically not be very good. You can be sonically very good and not a good mixer. You see a lot of all that, but can you do it all consistently every night? That's tough. That's dedication.
After COVID, it's the first time I've seen people that have been here that haven't gone through the whole entire, and they've been doing just mixing shows, which is fascinating to me that they just like, because a lot of the old timers
it's a different time, right? So a lot of the guys in their, I'd say probably in their 30s, right? You remember when satellite radio first came out and you're in your car and it was a shitty MP3 and it sounded harsh and gaps missing and everything, and that's what everybody was listening to, and then they became sound guys. They didn't grow up with like lush analog.
Yeah.
And had depth and width, and then you had to struggle and figure out how to make things wide or make things stacked or like, you know, process vocals a certain way to make them sound almost like they're sampled and big. You didn't have to work like that because now people are flying in vocals. You have plugins and all. You didn't have to do it raw. So that was a training ground that guys unfortunately don't have.
Yeah.
You know? So when I do like pop gigs and they're throwing all these tracks at you to try and make it bigger, that's not how you make it bigger. You know, but they've convinced themselves that when you stack things, they actually start to sound smaller. You know, so there's that whole thing.
Okay, so you've worked with a lot of bands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen some amazing successful bands and grown with them, and ones that haven't made it. What is the difference between the ones that have really made it? What does that mean?
Well, because, okay, so you're with an artist and they're really great and they're going to get new management. Do they pick the right management to move them forward, or do they pick the guys that that are easier but they're not going to move it forward? And they always seem to gravitate to the wrong situation.
Yeah.
You know, now, and then you look at pop stars or people that have made it regardless of talent or whatever, they make good business decisions. They put themselves in a place to succeed. And there's Mr. Justin Leonards is in the house.
How you doing, brother?
What's up, brother?
You're live here, Mr. Leonards.
We're on camera right now.
So, yay. Are you getting ready to do your thing?
You're good. Come on in.
Yeah, come on. Well, he's going to fire up his desk here.
Let's do it.
So there you go. So you managed to turn this around and interview me, even though he's got his story out at least. So that's a
little bit of a
I'm
story.
so proud of you for that, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
That's great.
Do you want to end it here? Or take it somewhere else, or what do you want to do?
We can just stop right now and then let him do his thing.
Sure.
Maybe we can hit a vom or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Be back.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Let's close that. How's that? Dude, you're not. You're not cold at all?
I've been running around with a camera.
Oh, good point. It's
Yeah.
heavy.
I forgot my freaking water.
Oh well.
Keep doing that. All right. What was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you something. I knew what it was.
Oh God. Yeah, you were gonna say how you flipped it around on me, and now it's your turn again.
This is going to be like a 1-for-1.
Right. So how's this been going? Doing the whole interview thing. It started to really blossom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely been some learning curves with this.
Yeah. It's a whole different set of technology and skills, right?
Yeah. I find like when I do camera, I can still be technical and artistic.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
You know, it's funny. I always wanted to do film.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
You
did.
should do camera for me.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
Just come on out and be your guy.
It'd
be cool.
I don't think
did.
people
Way
realize.
back, I wanted to do all that.
Did you really?
Yeah, but you know, you get caught up in this life,
Yeah.
you know, and it just becomes your thing. Like I missed out on studio too because I was always working, always away.
Do you wish
know?
you would have? Is there any bit of your mind like?
There's times I did. When Full Sail, the very first year they were open, I wanted to go, and then I got another gig as an LD, the one that took me to Ohio. So I went and did that. My dad, I don't think he wanted to pay anyways for it. He was kind of relieved. But I could tell he was hemming and hawing about it. So it might have been a different path. Or I might have ended up alive anyways, you know? There's no telling.
All right, I got a question.
Oh, God.
We talked about beginner bands.
Yeah.
And then there's this change that happens when you talk about successful bands that are getting good business, but then when they start hitting arenas,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a shift that happens with crew when they're like, hey, it's time to get serious now.
Well,
a lot of those old timers not old timers, people that
No,
were.
I understand. No,
there's a mindset
because
that like.
if you like, there are plenty of guys, not plenty, but there are a few guys that have started with artists and been able to hang on and grow with the artist. But that's when you find out, right? And then I think internally there are people that are just afraid to succeed too. And it gets to that point, you know, you get that thing in the back of your head and you understand it later in life. Like there are situations where I didn't make phone calls I should have and things because I was afraid of the answer when I was a lot younger. And I kind of identified that.
Yeah.
You know, well, man, I guess I was kind of afraid to succeed in a way, you know, afraid of it not working out, you know. That didn't last long for me, but I can see that happening too. Just like bands, right? When they get the band, you know, they're a local band, they're a super killer band, and they get signed and all of a sudden the singer leaves or the guitar player melts down because it's time to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's part of it. I think they're just plain subconsciously afraid to succeed. So there's some of that. There's some of just not having the chops to keep moving forward. So I don't think it's just some evil process where, okay, now we need a guy because we're going to be a big band now. I think there's a lot more to it.
Huh.
Interesting thought, right?
Yeah, and I feel bad because I do have some friends that like it got bigger and now they got taken out because obviously that band wants the big person to be able to do it as well.
Oh, and that's a shame too. So is that a bad thing? Because if that band should have helped lift them up and bring them along to sea before they just cut bait, right? That's kind of messed up too.
Yeah.
That's the ugly side of the business.
So what do you, when you have a new band that reaches out to you, what do you look at as like your important things, boxes you need to check now? Like, hey, this is going to be a successful tour and it's not going to be chaos that like maybe young people don't even think about.
I think it's important for me personally. Does the music move me? because you can go fake it all day, but as you get older in this, you want to enjoy what you're listening to. I mean, it takes you away. You're feeding your family, but you're still away. And you got to enjoy what you do if you're going to be away from your home and your family.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're out here and you hate every day. And there are guys that are like that, and they are freaking miserable.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, advice for the newbies that are starting to get tours that they don't know what to look for.
Get out of your computer. Stop being Mr. Technical with this and designing PAs with your laptop and not listening to things. Simplify everything and work your butt off. You know, listen, use your ears. You know, it doesn't have to be textbook to be right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some things just work out. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen down the stairs and discovered something. Like, oh my God, wait a minute, that sounds better. Well, that's not the way it should be done. Well, so what? You know, whether it's mics, mic placement, clocking, like there's thousands of different things that can apply to. Just be open and learn and find your way. Like, I think Robert Long, an old friend of mine, he's a production manager, he described mixing to me once like engineers, right? Like this guy mixes in an oval. This guy is like harsh, he mixes in a diamond. And he told me, you mix in an oval. And I thought, yeah, because I've always tried to create space and width in the analog days. And I've since kind of narrowed it a little bit to be a little more forward. But my hand's been forced by a lot of these guys, just everything is forward and in your face. But people start getting used to that. So it's like if you're super wide, then it's so radically different. I've tried to kind of meld it in just a little bit, you know, be a little more phase sensitive.
How do you know when's a good time to look for a new gig?
Oh, that is the best question ever. Because there are times when you reach your shelf life in a situation. And I've had this conversation recently, actually. Because sometimes it's a mandate, as being a senior engineer, we'll call it, right? So come in and clean this up. Come in and handle this. You know, there's things going on here we need. And then you are the guy that has to go get in other people's worlds to get what you need, right? And you can do that, and then it gets to a point where everybody's just tired of like listening to you. They don't want to deal with it. And then you kind of got to make a decision at that point. Is it time to go? I did what I could here. Is it time to go, or do you hang on, or does it end up working out?
Yeah.
You know, those are the variables, and that's the big part of this job is people, right? I admittedly haven't always been great at that, at all. You know, and I think that comes from your upbringing too. Like in my household, there was no like communicating and talking. Like my wife now with her kids, it's magical to watch. She shares everything. It's like they're little, but it makes them more adult and more open, and they're so open with her. In my house, it was old school, right? Older generation, right? So it was like there was no talking and then screaming. You know what I mean? And then no talking and then screaming.
Yeah.
So you don't have, you get sent into the world, especially this world, with zero people skills, you know? And I come off way more intense than I am in my head, always. So I have to try to regulate that all the time. And then when you get tired and beat up, then you kind of lose the skill a little bit because you're starting to get burnt in a run. So it's a tough, man. It's a tough thing to manage because it's all about people, right?
So actually, can I ask one favor? The zipper, I think, is hitting right on that microphone.
How about that?
Perfect.
Show a little, little color.
Well, this is where the sensor bar comes in.
More color than I've got. We got an arena tan going now. Dude, it's been winter every day all summer in these arenas.
I got another question.
I can't wait to just lay in the sun and get color.
I'm curious how you answer this.
Oh God. You still manage to keep it on me. Damn, you're good.
How do you ask for more pay?
How do you ask for more pay? You ask for it.
How do you know when's the right time to ask for more pay?
I used to have a thing.
And I put a caveat here that
it depends on the time and the gig. Like if you know you're out there selling arenas and maybe you came in a little cheaper than you should, every 6 months ask for something, you know, depending on the job and the job that you're doing. Are you really crushing it? Because keep in mind, you are the delivery system. You represent the artist in how you handle yourself and what comes out of that PA. So that affects tickets, you know, merch, All those things that now are super important because that's how they're making money, not records.
Do you agree there's a period of time where you shouldn't be worried about trying to make more money? You should, especially for entry.
100%. I worked for way less earlier on than I should have just to keep things rolling and get on a groove, get in a, how do you describe this? Just get on a roll in the business, go from one to the next to the next. But often that natural progression comes with more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it as much as you deserve? No. Am I a good businessman? Absolutely not. I should have been a better businessman along the way too. And that's something you got to think about too. You got to know your value and ask for it, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So.
Okay.
All right. So have you been able to monetize this
Absolutely.
like you want to? It's working
like
out?
I want to. It's paying for, I'm trying to get to pay for itself. I think it's a big misconception that I'm making a bunch of money. I kind of feel like I'm trying to, if I'm going to be candid, I feel like I'm kind of doing these and spending a bunch of money, time, and effort, and I'm like begging for tips, like please subscribe to my Patreon, or please like buy a T-shirt, or
But
please.
you know what? That's exactly what you just asked me though, because you're putting the work in now, and it'll pay off. It'll pay off. Hard work pays off. If you're really good at what you do, and you put a great product out there, it pays off.
That's the imposter syndrome for me. If I'm being candid,
I don't think it's.
I'm kind of an.
You feel
I'm
weird
kind of an
about
idiot.
it?
Like I can ask questions.
That's because you're humble. That doesn't mean you're an idiot. You're just
Anybody
humble.
can do this. I'm not super talented. I will work harder than you. I will say that. I'm going to work.
Me too. I've worked my ass off.
I'm not the most talented person in the world, but
Neither am I.
I'll be consistent. I'm going to work my butt off.
You know what's funny? I thought I was really good when I was super young.
Yeah.
I did this band House of Lords, and it was the old Jafria. I mean, that's way back, right? So I did this band House of Lords, and it was the Nelson Brothers. Remember that way back there? Two long hair blonde.
Yeah.
And Toby Francis. This is back in the '80s. Was mixing them or I think '80s, early '90s. Dude, it's so long ago.
Yeah.
But I went out there as like support act, and I heard him work, and I'm like, oh god damn it, man, I have such a long way to go. And actually, he was really good to me because I had some shit in my personal life. Making bad decisions with people, a girlfriend basically, and it was a nightmare at home. And I was hanging on by a thread, and then learning from him, just watching, not saying anything. It was just a rough little patch, but he was always super good to me back then. But it pushed me. It made me realize you got a long way to go. Because you start doing smaller gigs and it sounds good, and they're like, oh, you're awesome, you're awesome. You get filled with that right away if you're good at it, right? Mm-hmm. So it taught me, yo, man, you need to dig in. You need to work. You're not good enough. So.
What's the last song you mixed that made you feel emotional in a good way?
I mean, the song 365 Out Here is a very emotional song. It's about losing loved ones, etc. And it makes you think about all the people you've lost in your life, and the weight of it. And knowing the guys and knowing Eric, and knowing where he lives, and part of that was part of his life, just kind of experiencing his world, and and the family loss and different things. It's like, it definitely kind of makes you really think.
Yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics tonight, you'll understand.
Okay.
Yeah, and they put pictures of all their loved ones that have been lost, up on the screen during it. So it's pretty emotional.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been. I was in a car with Scoville and Eddie Mapp, and we're hanging out. We're going somewhere, and we're talking about obviously audio and bands and engineers, and the trajectory of bands and their record cycles parallel to specific engineers. That no matter how their bands the sales have dipped, the concerts have always done well, directly related to that engineer. When the engineer leaves, you can see a dip with tickets.
I've seen that a lot with.
Do you feel like that there's those people that just have that special God-given gift that nobody else will be able to replicate because they're just that talented, or is it like, hey, hard work will pay off?
No, man. No, it's because you're more than like a front of house guy, right? You kind of glue the whole thing together. You really do. And that's not like an egotistical thing. It's just part of the job, right? So once you're gone, and it's kind of like, this is really hard to describe the right way without sounding I don't want to say egotistical, but it's just, I've left a lot of gigs that have gone downhill after I left.
Yeah.
Because I've always done long-term gigs, right?
Yeah.
And then you leave, so it's structured a certain way. In anything, you can take one person and interchange in a tour and the whole dynamic changes. So in that respect, you take especially a front of house guy out and put someone else in that may paint differently, which is how it was put to me a while ago.
Yeah.
Like you could have 5 engineers and they all mix differently. Doesn't mean they're all not great, but it might not suit that artist. You know what I mean? And they take on that personality and bring it to that. Then it's just different and maybe not as good, and then maybe things start happening. It just disturbs the flow.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's really not the best way to describe it, but it's all I
get what you're
got
saying.
right now.
It was hard for me when I first started, because if I left a gig or I left a job or whatever it is, I wanted to felt like something was gone or it's not going to do as well. But then I realized a good leader, when you leave, if you set up for success, it shouldn't be felt as much as you think. Like, wow, that's a lot of pride of me to think I'm all that. And I'm not thinking about the bigger picture that when I leave this, you guys are going to feel it.
Oh, no, I never looked at it like that.
No, I'm not saying you. I mean, that was a shift for me of like, okay,
I've always wanted people to succeed when I leave, you know, hand it off to others or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Like Karam out here that's mixing Bush, he did a lot of that Guns N' Roses record, Chinese Democracy. He has songs on that. And Axel had him out there watching over everything. So we would hang out at front of house. And like 2 weeks in, I'm like, dude, why don't you just, there were some tracks running. Why don't you just mix the tracks? He's like, really? You'd let me do that? I go, hell yes. So we had that was one of the best experiences of my life, that whole year of both of us mixing at the same time together. It was so much fun. We would laugh, man. We made the best of that situation. And then I had to go back to Timberlake and I had Rage dates, it came up at once. So I was like, hey man, you want to do the gig? And he was like, yeah. So I literally went into production and said, I got to go. Karam's taking over. And I got in a train in Lille, France, and went to Paris. And my buddy Dave Brooks at L Acoustics picked me up. And it was the solstice. So we spent the whole night walking through Paris and doing all that. Got up the next day and flew to LA and started that, the other gigs.
Best piece of advice you've gotten from one of your mentors?
Oh man, there's been so many different, as far as what though? As far as how to deal with people, mixing, like what?
Let's do both.
The best advice I got was from the guy that gave me my first real shot mixing, which was Lynn Murphy. And he said, hey man, I just want to leave you with this. This is the greatest quote. He goes, a good sound guy reproduces the sounds on stage. A great sound guy makes them better. And that's what set me on my path. I went, huh. Now, we're not talking about changing the integrity of what the artist intends. That's a big problem I have too. They built this record, and you learn the record as an engineer and you recreate those. You can make them better without altering the intention. That's respecting what the artist wants, how they want to be perceived. And I see that almost never being followed. Guys have their own idea what this guitar should sound like and their own thing of this and their own thing of that.
Do you think it's a bad idea to have your sound?
Oh no, you have your sound.
How do you balance that of
that's why you make the big bucks, baby.
Well, as a younger engineer, you have a lot of young people.
No, it's tough, man. It's
where do I go?
Well, there's another conversation. It takes you a good decade just to figure that out. You can be a doctor and a lawyer before you're good at this. Absolutely.
That's so good.
I mean, seriously, man. It takes a long time to find your way. Okay, here's another example of, so back in the day, when you're younger and you're not established, so you get a country gig. So, hey, I'm Andy on a country gig. I'm dealing with country people. I'm doing a thing. That might not be my thing. I grew up in the Northeast. I've got no country, right? So it's fragmented. And then you're Andy on a rap tour. And then you're Andy on a pop tour. And then you're Andy on a rock tour, right? Instead of just yourself. And then you get to a point where you're growing. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, they're hiring me. So you just be yourself. right? Just be yourself, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've been blessed to where it has worked, you know, and I try to improve every day, and I think about the intention of the artist. And I have those discussions with them, you know, initially, you know, and I just do my thing. And then don't over explain things. Have a solution for every question. Or, I don't know, I'll sort it out. Or I'll let you know. You know, just quick, concise answers. Because you're dealing with, especially larger tours and pop stars and your Madonnas and things like that. They're a CEO of a giant corporation making hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't want some bullshit 10-minute, oh, you know, when I mix this and do this, and they don't want to hear that shit. They want a concise answer. So give them a concise answer. And if you don't know, tell them you get back with them. And then give them a concise answer. Don't try to explain your world to them because they don't have time for that.
What's it like doing and mixing with not bands but management and having to go directly to management instead of the bands?
I've had a few situations like that, but I haven't had that. Okay, so the infamous Punch, who manages Bob Seger, was always very difficult to deal with for everybody, but I just had a really frank conversation in the beginning with him. He's like, man, if I don't like what's going on, I'm going to be good. I go, no, you're going to mix then. And he's like, what? I go, I'm not kidding. And he goes, haha. I go, I'm not kidding. And he looked at me and then he busted out laughing, and we kind of really good banter, right? So I would listen to what he had to say and I would do my thing. And myself and Brett Steck was my system guy at the time, and we would cohesively work with him, and we made him happy. And I'll never forget, the guys were waiting on him to just chew me out. He would chew out engineers and freak out. And we were doing Madison Square Garden, and they changed the seating in there because Punch walked every seat, and he managed tickets like that. Bob did his own thing. They promoted their thing, right? So at the Garden, the bottom seats became suites, so you didn't get paid for that. So in the middle of the show, we're at Madison Square Garden. I got like there's Bruce Springsteen is there. I got Jennifer Aniston like all these things. Punch comes over, moves aside, and is just yelling, right? Yelling, but he's like, this is bullshit. They screwed me out like he's talking to me about the seats and the sales. And I'm going, holy crap, man, why I'm mixing, right? So then I go on the bus, like, oh, how did it feel your first time getting reamed by Punch? I go, he wasn't reaming me. He was talking about getting screwed on sales, you know?
Yeah.
So I got really lucky because he ate a lot of people alive, but I just had a good rep with him. And it was the first time they had toured with line arrays, and he was like questioning, how does this? So I pulled the laptop out and I showed him how you design the actual, integrate the system, right, to the venue. He's like, oh, that's fascinating. So I brought him in. And there was another time, the Justin Jay-Z Stadium tour, where Jay-Z's camp, their manager came, hey, this or that or the other. And I went, why don't we go listen to it right now? He's like, what? I go, let's go out front and let's hit play and go listen to this right now. He goes, can we do that? I go, you're the man, let's go. So we go out in the stadium, boom, fire up the part of the song. I go, hey, so what? He goes, well, a little bit of this would help. How about this? He goes, oh, that's great. I go, anytime you need anything, don't let other people, just come to me and we'll work through it, always. So if you make people involved and you're not afraid to open your door, that's where you win. When you lose is when you pull back and, oh, I don't, he does, you pull all that crap, you're going to lose every time. I like to bring them into my world and say, hey, that's the best thing. That was good with Justin too. It'd be like, he got involved. He can mix his butt off. So he would get involved with me, come in and listen to this. How about that? And then I'd go, okay. And especially in the early days, how about more guitar here at the end of the chorus or whatever? Oh, I like that. Save that. And I'd save it. We go on to the next Snapshot.
Yeah.
That's where Snapshot started, where I started doing, then it became like doing records. So now I treat it like a record. So I have like 600 snapshots, which is insane. But it's like, think about it. You have an intro. You have an intro with an effects mute. Then you have the intro. Then you have the first verse, chorus, maybe a bridge, maybe a tag. Then the second verse.
Are you firing or is it time code?
No, time code fires. Well, I used to fire myself, and I got worn out standing on one leg hitting a foot switch. Because I was mixing. I was on Guns. I was doing a foot switch because there's 3 guitar players, so that shit was bouncing all over. That would wear me out, man. I thought, I got to do time code. Like, that was a while back. So it's been time code forever.
So there's this phrase that people throw around a lot, engineers, of like gluing your mix together. The mix is really glued in. What does that mean to you? How do you glue
It
in a
all
mix?
sits together properly. There's not one thing standing out, but that doesn't always make a great mix. And that's where the Timberlake gig taught me a lot, because Justin has things like, say there's an older school snare sample that's way above the mix, but it makes the song, right? So I would come in, like I did the first tour, you learn that. And then you go to other tours and you immediately put it in a pocket, like a record, right? And then you go back to that gig and he'd be like, hey, how about that? I go, oh yeah, you get caught up in how you're used to packaging it. And then you got to go and just bring things out of like if you have a window, there's some sounds that'll just jump out of that window, but it's part of the vibe, not so much a mix, but the vibe. So you got to be able to do that too. Sometimes you got to throw things out there that are above everything normal, but it sounds great. So don't always stick to one mindset. It's different in every camp. That's why you got to be open and bring your artist in.
Do you still get nervous or excited for gigs at all?
If I've been off a long time,
yeah,
and it's kind of like a muscle, so you got to get back on the groove, and early shows you'll be like little nervous, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It makes it exciting again. But it's funny, the really big gigs I don't get nervous. Isn't that weird? I've always been that way. When I played hockey, it was the same thing. I was a terrible practice player, but if it was like a playoff thing, then I would just shred. I've always been like, the moment has to be bigger, because then I get out of my own way and I just do my gig and slay. But if it's just like an everyday thing, you kind of get caught in, and then you start thinking about things. But the second the heat is on or something happens, you have to sort, I focus and I'm way better. I'm way calm. So I'm kind of just built that way. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
What's
the most common thing people ask you?
They don't ask me a lot.
Not even for these interviews, people don't ask you?
No, not. I mean, usually it's about gear. The interviews. It's not more. It's not too personal.
That's one
it usually isn't like this.
That's one thing for this channel I didn't like.
See, this is what's great, and it'll turn into other things for you too.
I got a few things working on. We'll see.
See?
A couple things working on.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm very passionate. I care a lot about what I do, and I'm very protective over this. Especially the fact is not lost on me that I'm able to sit here with you or to be able to talk with Greg Price or Toby Francis or Pooch, and I'm very protective because it only takes one of these to go wrong to screw up the whole thing. And I've had people that have reached out like, "Oh, those crazy things people say, you should post that." It's like, no.
We talk about this, about guys saying things they really shouldn't be saying because they're younger and they don't get the big picture of. See, it's funny. I talked to Scooter at Claire like last week about things, and we talked about different changing things, doing things. But the one constant in my career is my number one goal is to protect the artist. Like, I don't need to sign an NDA because that's never going to happen. Because this is my life. This is how I feed my family. I may screw up other things in my life, but I will never screw this up. Not like that. Lips are sealed in all ways,
With today's day and age of social media and Instagram and TikTok and being involved, do you feel like that's just as important to be there as well? Where's the line for that?
I have a huge problem with this because I just still can't manage that, because your entire career, this gig is sacred. You do not let music out. You do not go, look at my cool rack. You don't do anything. It's you sign your NDA or you stay quiet, and it's about the mystique of the gig, right? Now that's how everybody sells themselves now. With people have requested a picture of my rack and it's on Facebook, and then the whole thing, and to me that's sacrilegious, because we were trained forever, for decades, that is not happening.
That's your IP.
And now it's how you get a job. So it's the exact polar opposite of your entire training politically and your whole career as an engineer. Now it's the other way. And guys have monetized that and done great things, and they're teaching. Pooch does his thing, his master classes, and there's other guys that do their thing, and they're showing their way of doing things, but everybody's got their own thing, I wish, it would have been nice to have that, but we just learned, hard knocks, right? touring clubs with a screw gun stealing speakers out of a DJ rig because the PA's blowing up by the guy the night before, that kind of shit, like hardcore gigging. That's how you learn what not to do. And I think that's the thing that's lacking in this entire world is no one's teaching what not to do. They're only teaching what to do. And I learned by watching others as when I was an LD for all those years of what not to do. That didn't work. That's a bad idea. That, you know what I mean? And I took that. I think even in training and PA systems, especially like, whether it's whatever PA system it is, there should be tutorials out there because you can find them. There's training programs of what to do. It's all about what to do. No one teaches what not to do. And there's a lot of things you shouldn't do, I
posted this thing on social media, and I was talking about a couple things like not to do. And one of the things I said is controversy doesn't close deals. Be careful of what you post on social media, especially with politics and with everything. And I got a lot of flack for that, man, because it's like, no, I should be able to speak out. It's like,
no.
I hate to say it.
You know why?
If you're hiring somebody, what are you going to look at?
That's fantastic because I have peers. I'm not going to mention anybody that I've seen. This is years ago now. This is probably before it was more critical. They would, like, say an event would happen and they would make comments that were freaking, to me, were like, that's shameful, dude. Or you're not really thinking right about this, or your opinion is so off base to me. But people that I hung out with and gigged with that I loved to pieces, but then I see him doing the thing online, which is not the person that I know, saying that, are you like, and it started to really get to me, and that's why I went, I'm done. Yeah. I look at it once, and I did it way back in the day. I was I've been on Facebook and all that stuff just to kind of look at your kids and stuff like that. And I look once in a while and I see stuff, and now it's like funny reels. Like I try to train the algorithm for like dogs and like South Park and like, shit you laugh at, right? Yeah. And sports. I'm a big sports guy, so I just look at a lot of sports. I try not to. You still get caught up in things that are happening, but for the most part, I try to like not let that bring me down. You find yourself doom scrolling, you start feeling, oh man, that toss it, put on some music.
I got a lot of people who reach out to me and they want advice how to get on tour or how to get into it. And
dude, that's a tough one.
What do you look for when you're hiring somebody? What things that stand out to you that is different than anybody else?
Well, my situation is the only person I really get to hire is Justin. So, and I've known him for so long now because we're neighbors basically, and we're close. I'm close with him and his wife and my wife, and like everybody, when you're younger, you kick it pretty good, and things I did that he's done, and I just always try to lead him in the right direction because he's so talented and he hears things the same. And I always had a thing where I looked at like Quigley and Spragoo back in the day. They did all the Motley in their heyday, all Cinderella, all those bands. They were like a team, right? And there's usually a system guy that's hanging with that person, or like, Pooch has had guys. Everybody's had their guys that hung out with them for quite a few years, right? And it's like a symbiotic relationship, right? And so I kind of wanted that. And in the second Timberlake tour I did, I went in my old shop and I was listening to different gear, like summing mixers, because I kept tracks. So I wanted to really like fine tune what I was going to use for certain things. And I walked in the shop and I was talking to my old partner, and Justin came in he was really young back then. And he's like, what are you doing? I go, I want to listen to this piece of gear. He goes, okay, I'll take it back there. And I go back in there, and he's got a PA set up. He's got it all done already. And I was like, damn. Then we started talking and listening to things, and he heard exactly, like he's got an old soul, even though he's a lot younger. So we kind of hit it off that way. And then I've kind of, helped him along in a lot of ways. And then he keeps me light too. If I get too serious, he'll come rub my shoulders or something, or make a joke or something. And we know each other pretty well. Yeah. And if I'm being short with him because we're out of time or there's some pressure thing, he never takes it personally. It's like old school shit. Like you used to be able to like scream and yell at each other and bust out laughing, and have a beer later. You're like in this business now. It's like HR department. We're both old school, like in that way. So, I love that guy to pieces, man. He means a lot to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's great having someone you can trust, because when it comes down to it, I don't care if he, what the situation is, he's going to get it done. We would roll into festivals in Timberlake, and he'd look at the PA and goes, "This is wrong. I'm going to repin this." And the whole Fed would be like, "No, you're not doing shit." And by the time I turn around, that PA would be coming in, and he'd repin the whole thing and get it right. And I'd be like, "Yes, that's my boy."
Wow.
Like, yeah, like I wouldn't even have to fight. He'd take care of that,
Wow.
So he definitely knows how to take the bull by the horn and solve problems. And he brings everybody up. He's a good guy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
With today, we talk about social media and cell phones and stuff. How much do you think about cell phone audio when you mix? Does it
That's
cross your
a
mind?
great question too, because the compression in cell phones has changed. It used to, I like my thing, you talk about people have a thing. My thing is I use more bandwidth than most in a vocal. So there's more low end. To me, it sounds more powerful live, right? But if that's just a tiny bit louder, what does it do? With all that bandwidth, it pushes everything back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have an imbalance. And that was part of the thing when the Justin Jay-Z thing, Jay-Z had so much beef in his vocal, and Justin's is a thinner, more falsetto thing. So it would sound like he was louder than Justin, whereas in actuality, when you're watching the show, they were equal, if not Justin was a little bit louder. But it would translate totally the opposite. So I started looking at videos to see, right? And then now it's just like some phones handle bandwidth better than others. Some distort low end, some squash it. Every once in a while you find one that sounds really great, or someone had a real rig with them,
Yeah.
So, but the levels are getting better. Like it seems to translate better. I find that my kick drum, because I don't like that kick drum solo attack thing. I like to be able to hear the attack, but you're moving low end, so that's part of the experience of the kick. I find that when I watch things, my kick sounds buried and it's not live. Like if you record it and then watch it, it's a little bit different, right? Yeah. And the snare sounds louder than, even though it's driving, louder on camera than it is versus everything else, because it's just bizarre to me how it changes the blend a little bit.
Tell me about how were this? Is there any mix that you heard that you're like, that made you rethink even your mixing, that you heard it and you're like, oh my gosh, I am not even, that blew your mind?
I tell you, well, it's funny that you asked me that. I don't go to shows anymore.
I was just gonna ask you, like, what's the last show you've
I don't
weren't
go
paid
to
to be
shows.
at?
Paul Hager doing Beck was really good at the old in Tampa at the Shed, because that's a crappy, with that roof. Poof, it's gone now. It got blown away in a hurricane, but Paul is really great at what he does. I love that dude. He's really passionate about what he does. And Miley, he did a really good job too. Back the older tours that they did, that's really good. There's a bunch of guys. I mean, I think Greg Price, for all those years, he crushed Ozzy and all that stuff. I don't think he gets the recognition he deserves, because that's tough. Imagine having to manage that whole thing. Not just mixing, but just managing that world is a bigger task than people understand. I was his system guy back in Poison days, way back when I did this system thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So there's guys like that. Everybody knows Pooch is good and Toby's good. Bill Chappelle doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Bill doing the Michael Jackson thing, and then he spent a year mixing that for the movie and all that. I don't think he gets credit he deserves. He's a good dude too. There's a lot of guys out there, older guys, that don't get that. And then you have guys that are marketing, and they're like, market themselves, and they appear to be this thing, where there are a lot of older guys that just destroy them. I'll tell you what show was Roger Waters, the last one that Tripp did, Kaloff. And understanding him, because we did a Motley Kiss run where he basically had a thing where he wouldn't accept EQing things. It's just mic placement and source, right? So being in charge of all that on Roger Waters, I went and saw a show in Tampa at the arena there, and it was freaking ridiculously good. And you could tell, like, no EQ, XL4, inputs managed properly, mixed properly. That was shockingly good.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, that old i5 PA, if you knew what you were doing with it, that thing sounded freaking awesome. Awesome. I love that PA.
Okay, speaking of PA and equipment, based upon, you've been around for a couple years.
A minute, yeah.
A minute, maybe 2
God,
minutes.
my neck is like turning sideways. God. Ugh.
Other than line array and virtual playback, what piece of equipment revolutionized your mixing?
Revolutionized?
Or changed the way you approach mixing, or you look back and that was a pivotal moment you saw in the history of music and equipment that...
Well, I would say there's a couple significant changes. First was line array. So I remember the first time I mixed on Vidosk. It was a Canadian festival, and it was a Pat Benatar gig I did back then. And I was watching, back then, let me back up a little bit, it was like 850s everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you could literally ruler that. You could just push everything up, and it would frickin' kind of combine itself and be a thing, right? So anybody could really mix. And there were guys that were doing, tour manager, sound guy, doing everything for not a lot of money with their briefcase and rolling in and getting gigs, right? And there were a lot of great engineers, and you could only do so much better with those PAs. And I remember this festival, I sat there, and it was like a funeral. It's like the first band goes up, because I watched all of it, right? And I saw this PA, I was interested in it. And it was like an XL4 out front. It was like a great rig, right? But you were just flying, it was a one-off, right? And disaster, sounded horrible. And you could see the dudes leaving ashen white, like, because you were exposed on a line array. There was nothing like that, keep in mind, at all, right? Then the next guy, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, this is gonna be awful. And then dude coming down all despondent. You could see their faces. It was like a funeral procession. And then I got to go up there and I line checked, did my thing. And I was like, this is the best shit. And I knew things were gonna change right then and there. The people that could mix were gonna actually shine, It definitely separated men from boys right away, like that. And then the other thing was an easy tilt.
I forgot about
the easy tilt,
yeah.
And that's from funeral homes for caskets. That's where that came from.
Seriously?
Yeah. So,
I know that.
So, little fun fact. So an easy tilt, dude, those were 1,200-pound consoles and shit. You got 6 grown-ass men, necks bulging, lifting those things, or you just a couple guys and flip that shit. That changed. So those are 2 milestones as far as gigging is concerned. The easy tilt, man.
So where do you see it going for future, or what do you want to see?
What do I want to see?
Yeah, what do you
mean? Like gear?
The future of audio, a future of mixing, or...
I hate that networking is so involved, even though it's become necessary. I think that listening to networked audio and the cabling has become a massive thing. Like the sound of cable is so radically different. Like I built my own boxes using audio over Ethernet, but I'm using an older Belden that I found because I listened to a ton of shit. It all sounds different, radically different. So I have a certain Megami on the fan out that I like to use, and a certain Belden I like to use, and I've got all my own cabling in my rig, 100%.
Wow.
So I just literally took the time to listen to all that, and I was like, holy crap, that's different, that's different. This is more open, this has more low end, this is a harsh high end, this is, like, I just spent some time at home when I had my gear at home and listened. Yeah, so I pick everything apart. That's why I talked about earlier, when we were talking about listening to your conversion first, and then when you integrate your compressors and your EQs and things, the order of that really matters. Not just because an EQ affects a compressor, but sonically. Like with everything flat and you're running through the actual audio, listen to that.
Yeah. Man, it must have been so cool for you. Like, you got to see a lot of different trajectories, not just in gear, but in the span of the music industry. From like bands, how they made money, and having to get albums and having to get CDs and having to wait till they came to town. From that shifting to streaming platforms and this entire industry shit. Like now, how are they making money? And going into merch, and then now you got social media, and that the barrier of entry is lower, but the noise floor is lower. There's so many people and so many things that are coming out right now. And you got people headlining Coachella that have never played a stage before. I mean, it's just insane.
It's
and
so
you got
different.
all this advancements in audio and going like, are we going for the 1% now with
and how do you feel relevant too?
I mean, is it going to be just AirPods in your ears? Is it going to be all VR glasses? It's just...
I don't know about that. I'll probably be history by that time. but what I can say is great sounding shows. The average person, I hear people say, oh, the average person doesn't know. I think that's total bullshit, because if it sounds truly great, it's subliminal. It just feels good. Because my wife doesn't know shit about this business, but now that she's been out with me and we do go to a show here or there, but I haven't in a while. But her point was, I never really thought about it like this, but bands I thought weren't very good, it wasn't because they weren't very good, it's because they didn't sound good.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting? It's like I truly believe it's subliminal to people. They enjoy it, they're hearing it, they hear everything, they're having a great time. But if it's like super harsh and all you hear is like a guitar and a vocal or a kick drum blowing your head off, that you don't know any better, but that's not the record you were listening to in the car. And it's not the intention of the artist. That's the problem I have with how things are done.
I had a new engineer ask me, he's mixing a baby into mixing. He's like, how do I know what sounds good if I don't know what sounds bad? How do I know that?
Learn what not to do. Well,
I was like, that's actually a really good, good question.
Well, even freaking AirPod Pros, when you play a record and you listen to it, it sounds really great, right?
Yeah.
Make your shit sound like that. It's really that simple. Learn the record, listen to it, and then make it happen here. You can do that, that's pretty much a win. But how do you do that? How do you integrate the system to the room? Guys will smart it all over the place. That's a starting point. Most people treat it like that's it. So you could do that, and I could be mixing, and I'm forcing guitars, and my vocal's not coming out, and I bump my side hang 0.2 milliseconds, and all of a sudden it opens up and starts to throw. That's the symbiotic relationship with Justin. I'll be like, hey man, this is feeling tight. Let's do this. Let's move that a little bit, and we'll do it, and we'll work. It may come out of the gate great. It may not, right? So you do those little finite things, and then all of a sudden it's flowing and moving in the room. It's not just the perfect time, right?
Yeah.
And where do you like the wave to sit on the low end? I like a more of a 40, 30 hertz thing, not a 50 to 80 hertz thing. So sometimes I'll put the subs on the back of the wave a little bit, right? Maybe to make the snare sound a little beefier, just manipulating things. Yeah. There's no science. The science is shit. It's like, get it close, get it right, and walk. Like we walk every day. I play a loop of a song off playback it's just a bass part with a straight time, and I don't turn on anything else but the bass and the kick and the snare time. Right? Just the bass, the drums and bass. And we loop that section and we walk the room. How is this affecting the side hand? Because you can hear the snare, you can hear the low end. Those are two things that'll tell you everything about energy transfer into the room. So we'll walk up on the side. The side hang feels a little choked right in this transition. Let's bump time a little bit, and we'll find the best transition. We'll listen to the flown subs, and we'll turn on the ground sub, listen to that time. We know what our numbers should be, but we'll manipulate those. So we have a baseline that we manipulate, and every day it's a tiny bit different. But because we don't EQ the PA, it's very radical. 0.2 is radical. If you start listening to the side hang and EQ it, and then you listen to the mains and you EQ it, and you put it all together, now you have different things interacting.
You say you don't EQ the PA?
At all. That PA, there's no EQ on this PA. Zero. You'll listen to it tonight. That dude that sounded really good, that support act thing, zero EQ.
Okay.
Bush, zero EQ.
So your SE comes in, he doesn't tune it to a curve or nothing?
No. These PAs are designed so well, we just do amplitude of sub versus mains, that's it. Amplitude.
So are you tuning the inputs in the board, or are you?
That's what I do. So like, I treat it like a record. So,
okay.
Oh man, in this song, there's like some 400 and 500 bugging me. Well, what is it? Oh, it's the background singers.
Interesting.
And the key they're singing in. So, hush, hush. And if you work hard, to get all that. Now I do EQ as far as overall mastering, which is basically air comp.
Okay.
So needs a little more upper mid today, a little more air, maybe a little less low mid. So I have mastering EQ there that I tighten that up with.
Sure.
So that's my form of EQ, not system EQ.
So
so I don't want to integrate phase into the system.
So your SE doesn't take the RTAs out and do the whatever.
Fuck no. Justin and I have been together so long, he knows what I'm looking for. And then everybody that gets on it goes, oh my God, this was such a great experience. Because there's not 800 filters. Now you go to festivals, right? First thing they do, say it's an L Acoustics PA, and they listen to it, and it's hung a certain way, and it's super thick. They take the zoom down, so now they take the low end out, and they go, oh, it's a little bit harsh. And then they start EQing the high end. So now you've got all this shit going on, and where these companies have put millions of dollars into research to turn on a great sounding disc or whatever. You put it up, you turn it on, it sounds amazing, right? So who are you as a system guy to put on some song you like and EQ around whatever's in that song and do all this shit to it?
Sure.
It makes no sense to me personally. So the second we go to a festival, I'm like, when you're not a headliner, you're at the mercy of what's going on, right? And you have to like fix things. But mostly when we go in, if we're headlining, can you turn all that off, please? Huh? Yeah, bypass everything.
Interesting. 'Cause I see
turn it all off. And then you do that and you turn it on, you're like, oh, there it is. We're good.
Interesting. Because I see most people, they get the board mix sounding good and then they match it to.
Oh, I did this for years. I had a couple songs I listened to. I walked all over the place. I EQ'd the shit out of it. And then at one point on the second Justin run, I thought, I have to be better. Okay, so okay, I put a disc in, you turn it on, it sounds fucking great, right? But then I'd find myself EQing the PA, I'd find myself, doing different things, and I was like, why is this happening? Well, one, I'm not a good enough engineer, and two, it's not mastered. Because everything you put in is mastered, right? So that's where I started getting mastering gear, and I started doing massive snapshot counts because I wanted to fix all these things.
Huh. Interesting.
So I took it to a whole nother level of finite, just a finite way to look at everything. And all these guys that are really good, they all do that mostly. It depends on the gig too, right? So like this gig is like a pop gig. There's a lot going on. And if they're having like a tough day, there's your glue issue right there because things aren't really gelling, and then things will come together, and it's because we're all humans, right? No one's perfect. You got personalities up there trying to jive, maybe something going on at home, whatever. It's not always the perfect show, and that's something you got to get over too. There's times you start digging in and realize it's not you. You just got to let it settle and do its thing. You got to learn that. That's another experience thing. I see guys get in there and start digging and dig a hole that you never get out of. I'm guilty of that too when I was younger.
Same. I get in the weeds and then I get in my head and then I just have to take a second. You
just got to recognize.
Breathe.
But that comes from experience, right? Yeah. Listen to them, what's going on, and just, okay, let's just worry about sonically what's going on right now and let it settle. And then usually it'll come back to you. It's kind of like the universe, right? You just let it come to you.
Yeah.
And then there's always that day that it just never does. And those happen too. Those happen to everybody.
Yeah.
And you walk away going, fuck, that sucked. And then you have to sit there and, go through your paces knowing that it's not what it should be.
Yeah.
And it's always when some friends are out or some peers, and it's just not what it should have been or was the night before. And you're like, God damn it, why does this have to happen tonight? Those nights happen to everybody, man.
Yeah.
Maybe you want it too much. It's like sports. You want it too much. Never happens, but if you just flow, it goes great.
How are we doing time with the card?
I don't know. We're probably done like an hour of this shit, right?
We got 6 minutes left in this card. Wow.
6 minutes.
Okay.
That's good.
I could talk to you for probably another 2 hours, Bad.
Yeah, we could do that. Well, do it another time. Oh, man.
Thank you. Really,
dude, thanks for your story. That was important.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It's important for people to hear. You got to pick people up, and also you self-regulate and realize your situation and your thing. That's super important.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
If
people want to follow you and follow your career, where can they follow you at?
I don't really I mean, I have an Instagram thing that I haven't posted on in like 2 or 3 years. Like, I'm so lame, dude. It's been a minute. Jesus.
Well, then they got to come to a Shinedown show.
There you go. How about
Yeah.
that? How about we make it real?
If you guys,
I mean, I guess I should start at some point. I have to fold.
do it.
Yeah, I probably should. So we'll figure that out. We'll do it the next time we do this.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe I'll pull it together and come out of the last century.
If you guys want to support this channel, go over to Patreon. You can financially help support this, buy some merch. We got an app too. I've got a This is Dela Cruz app you can get.
Ooh.
Have you got the app?
Nice.
Heard about
No,
this?
I don't have the app. I didn't know any of this.
Oh, it's an app that.
I mean, we've talked on the phone, but you know what? I want to say something. There's a few guys you've had on that are like real in older schools, like Jeff Gilmer. He just came out the other night. I love that guy, Hefe. But the things he said, I watched a couple of things, are just so honest and real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, I do all this tech, just talk real.
Yeah.
Another one I love me some Eddie Mapp.
I love Eddie.
And he's just talking about, the way he does his mono thing and does his thing. Like that's a unique thing. That's his own thing. And it works great for what he's doing. And that's freaking awesome. So, there's a few things I've heard that are super just real and honest.
Yeah.
Instead of I know this and I know that and
Yeah.
things like that. And it's just nice to see just a comfortable, honest thing,
Do you know Bruce Reeder? Bruce with 5 fingers?
Yeah, I know.
We
Bruce.
were talking, or how am I doing?
Yeah, we got 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
I was talking with him, and
He's a really nice man.
he is. He was talking about somebody was asking a question online, and he commented on there, and then he's a bunch of people who were like commenting like behind him, and he's literally doing the question in front of like 80,000 people tonight, but the people behind them are like, you gotta look at this and this, and why are you doing this? And he's like, it made me not want to comment anymore on social media.
It was too much.
So that's where that's why I made this app, that you've got Ask a Pro, and people get verified. So there's actually verification badges on there. So if people want to look for jobs, post for jobs, ask questions. So it's all free, everything's free. I'm not making any money off of it. So if you want to come and join that, please join the app.
You do it because you love it. So respect that. He does it because he loves it.
I do, and I'm sick of the gatekeeping and people charging for it. If you want to post a job, post a job. Want to ask a question, go ask a question.
And like you said, working hard like this, it'll lead to other great things. My man.
Let's go, baby.
Peace.